With all the money I saved not being able to get a haircut because of the coronavirus, I was able to get a brand new PC. What's up guys? The title of this video is probably something like building my first gaming/editing PC or something like that. This PC wasn't really meant for gaming, but it does have a pretty good budget graphics card, so it very easily could be used for gaming at 1080p and you can get very good frame rates if that's what you want to do. So I'm leaving gaming in the title because most people search that and views. But for me personally, I wanted a kind of upgrade to my laptop, which I currently use for editing, and this definitely is a big step up from that. So right now I'm gonna list all the parts out just so that you know what I got. All the parts will also be in the description, and as I start building, I'll explain more of why I got certain components. For the CPU, I ended up going with the Ryzen 5 1600AF. The GPU is the GeForce GTX 1660 Super from EVGA. I got the ASRock B450M Pro 4 Micro ATX motherboard, 1 terabyte of NVMe storage, a 600 watt 80 plus bronze certified power supply, 16 gigabytes of T-Force Delta RGB RAM clocked at 3000 megahertz, and as something extra, I got the HD60 Pro capture card. So right now I'm gonna start building and then I'll talk more about the parts. After I get a different chair because this one's really squeaky. Do you hear that? Oh my God. Oh, I didn't mention the case. I'll get into that later, but that's a different story. I do have one though, so wow. Yeah, don't freak out. I have a case. You hear that? Didn't think so. No squeak. This is my first PC build, so please don't get mad at me. I think I know what I'm doing because I've been binge watching PC build videos for the past like 2 months. So as I mentioned, I got the ASRock B450M Pro 4 motherboard. It's a micro ATX motherboard, and it's just a very popular one among like budget/mid-range builds. So I'm not using any SSDs or hard drives because I just felt like it would be easier to just have one NVMe drive. If I wanted more storage later, I could very easily get the Seagate Barracuda 2 terabyte hard drive that everyone gets, and that would be plenty for me. But for now, 1 terabyte is plenty, and that'll suit my needs. So I don't need this SATA cable, and this is a manual, I'm not gonna need that either. This is a manual, I'm not gonna need that either. I'm totally kidding, guys. Sorry. We have the IO shields here, M.2 screw, which I'm gonna need. And here is the motherboard itself. Okay, so there's a motherboard. First step, CPU. So I ended up going with the 1600AF because it's basically the 2600 with a different name. I should be getting the same performance, but this is actually 40 bucks cheaper than the 2600. And actually now this is sold out and the 2600 is like 175 or something like that on Amazon, when previously it was like 125. This cost me 85, so this is pretty much like the best bang for the buck option for CPUs at the moment. Why don't I have a knife? Why don't I just get a knife? There we go. So since this is an editing build, I cared more about the CPU than the GPU, but I actually got, I'd say like a much higher end GPU for this build than I did CPU, but this is still a great processor. It's just funny how that ended up happening. This is my first time ever installing a PC component, so hopefully I don't screw it up. So we're just gonna lift the retention arm right here, and then I'm just gonna drop this in, applying no pressure because you don't want to bend the pins. All right, give it a little wiggle to make sure it's seated, and then they said this part you kind of like cringe because it feels like you're gonna break it, so oh, that wasn't so bad. I feel like they kind of exaggerated that. That felt totally fine. Now we're gonna install the cooler, and this cooler already has pre-applied thermal paste, so I'm not gonna have to apply my own and worry about putting it on wrong. I'm gonna rotate this like this because I think the fan header, this is the fan header right here, yeah, so I want it to be like this so I could do that. I have to remove these little, I don't know what to call them, the plastic things. All right, last one, and whoa, please don't fall, okay. Should be able to remove these now. Now it's time to put on the cooler. Just gonna set this down into the little holes. So you wanna screw in like a diagonal pattern so that you can get even pressure on the CPU. And evenly apply the thermal paste, and this screwdriver is kind of big for this. So we're gonna tighten this one a little bit, and then tighten this one a little bit, and then we're just gonna continue that until it's down. I feel like I'm doing things fine, but I feel like I'm gonna break something. I don't know why. I didn't expect it to be this much pressure. that is securely in there. See this part here? It's got to line up with like, there's a little thing on the motherboard that, you know, indicates where that's supposed to go. So, okay, that's fine. Okay, next step, RAM sticks. T-Force Delta RGB RAM, 3000 megahertz, should be perfect for what I'm doing. I did get them in white. I was gonna have a white build, but my case is actually black. I'll get more into that later, but I still think these will look nice in the case. Black and white go well together, but these are like the best looking RAM sticks I've seen. I just really like them. I mean, look at them. They're like, they have this just like modern, clean look, and they're white, and they have RGB. We're gonna put the RAM sticks in the 2nd and 4th slots so we can take advantage of dual channel. And we're just gonna line up the notch right here with the notch in the DIMM slots. I'm just gonna push. There we go. So RAM is installed. I got 1 terabyte of crucial NVMe storage. I know most people get like an SSD and then a hard drive. I wanted something fast. My laptop actually has 256 gigabytes of NVMe storage and it starts up super quick. So I wanted that and I got this. This was only 110 and SSDs that are like 1 terabyte cost about that much. So it's like, why would I get those when I could get faster storage? This is smaller, lighter, faster, easier to screw. Look how small this is. Look how much easier this is gonna be to install than having to deal with like SATA cables and stuff. Look at this, it's like a stick of gum. It's also useful because I won't have to do like as much cable management. Okay, click, and then we're just gonna hold it in place using this tiny, tiny, tiny screw. Okay, now I'm gonna install the motherboard into the case, which you'll get to see now. Make way, make way. I was originally planning on getting the NZXT H510 in white, which is a very popular case, but my friend actually had a case that he no longer needs, and it was from an old PC build he had. So, this right here, oh, please don't crush anything. Okay, this is the Fractal Define S. And it is black, so it's not the color that I wanted, but it's a really nice case, so I really don't mind that it's in black, especially because I'm saving like 70, 75 bucks. My friend Nick, who gave me this case, actually had the standoff set up for his ATX motherboard. Beforehand, I moved them so that they'd work for my micro ATX motherboard. I forgot, IO shield. Don't forget that. You want to put in your IO shield before you put in your motherboard. Always remember protection. So you're gonna wanna push this in firmly until it like snaps. So, oh, there we go, cool. Okay, so you can't even see it from this angle, but basically I just put it in. Now we can put the motherboard in. So we're just gonna line it up with these standoffs, move this fan cable out of the way. And I'm gonna put it in at this kind of angle just so that everything can line up with the IO shield, but it won't get like, you know, stuck on these little metal things coming out. You can't really see them, but don't get mad at me, but basically, Nick wasn't able to find the screws for this case, so I actually took 6 screws from another case that he had, and this motherboard actually needs 8. So I ordered screws yesterday to mount the motherboard when I complete this, but for now I'm just gonna use 6. It'll be fine just for the time it takes for the other screws to arrive. Why does it feel like it's not going in all the way? Like, I feel like that's not right. You don't want to screw in the screws too tight because then what can happen is when you unscrew it, it can actually take the standoff out, and then it becomes really hard to remove the screws. And that's actually what happened when I took the screws out of the other case to get them for this case. One of the screws was so tight that the standoff came out, and it was a big pain to have to remove that. So screw it in until it's like kind of tight, and then just turn like a little bit more. Okay, so as you can see, there's 1 screw missing right over there, and then 1 screw missing right over here. Hopefully I'll be able to get to that easily. And my graphics card is gonna be here, but I don't think that'll, you know, block this or anything. And then I'm gonna have the capture card on this side. IO shield, let's check that nothing was obstructed or anything by metal. Okay, that looks good. Now, a lot of people will put in the graphics card at this point, but it's a lot easier to plug things in when the graphics card isn't in the way. So I'm gonna plug in everything that I can for now. So first off, there's a fan right here, and I believe this right here, it says CHA fan. I don't know what CHA means, but plugging in the fan right here. Looks good. To cable manage that for now, I'm just gonna stick it through this grommet. Okay, so I'm gonna flip this. It should be able to stand now. Okay, I'm gonna turn this way so you can see. But basically, we got the motherboard in there. So here, I'm just gonna take off the back panel. So as you can see here, we have all sorts of wires. So this right here is the, what is this? This is the HD audio, so that should go through the bottom. The USB 3 connector, that's gonna go through the side because that's where it is on my motherboard. And then, I'm gonna turn this to this side so you can see me actually put everything in. The USB 3.0 thing is right here, so I'm gonna plug that in. The HD audio is gonna be the easiest, so I'm gonna do that first. For these wires right here, you're just gonna have to read the manual and then see where to plug in all the things. So I actually could have routed the HD audio through a hole down here, so I think I'm gonna do that instead. All right, hopefully everything works, but from the back, I'm gonna pull everything just so that it's nice and tight, and then we're gonna be able to cable manage everything a lot better this way. And then this other fan connector right here for the front fan, that's gonna go through, I think the top here, and then it connects near where the CPU fan is. Okay, now that all of that's done, I can install my graphics card. Watch this peel. This is going to plug into this PCIe slot here. So I'm gonna have to remove the two covers that are right below it. Gonna line it up here. Make sure it looks good from the IO side. And now we can put these screws back. See these two slots right here? Nick's old build had I guess a GPU here, so we can replace those with these covers, which is actually fine because then I don't have to have two random slot covers just sitting in my closet or something. So in the process of doing all that stuff, I forgot to talk about the video card. So I was originally gonna get an RX 580 because again, this isn't for gaming, but after doing just more research, I decided I wanted a better graphics card. I was gonna get the 1650 Super, and then eventually I was just like, let's go a step up and get the 1660 Super. The thing about these is that I might be getting terminology wrong or something, but they have a dedicated NVIDIA encoder, and that actually can be used for streaming. So you can actually encode your stream using the GPU if you just change settings in your streaming software, and then that takes some of the work off of the CPU, which is what is usually being used more for streaming. So that's another benefit of getting this, but also it's just nice to have a better graphics card in general. So yeah, if I ever want a game, then I could do that. Even though it's not gonna affect editing that much, it's just nice to have a better card. So yeah, that's why I got this. And then this is just for, you know, capturing Smash footage for making montages. Dogeback SSB on YouTube. So as it turns out, I will have to keep a random slot cover in my closet. Perfect, that looks great, wow. So now it's time to install the power supply. 600 watt power supply from EVGA. This is way more than I'll need, but it gives me room to upgrade stuff later, so that's fine. It's also semi-modular, which is especially good because since I don't have any hard drives or SSDs, I don't need to deal with like SATA cables anyways, so it would be a waste of space if I had them on my power supply. So, all right, so you wanna put this in with the fan facing the bottom. There's a vent at the bottom so it can dissipate heat that way. And then you wanna line it up with the screw holes in the back. So basically you just put it in from the side and start screwing. And we're gonna do the same thing, the diagonal screwing pattern, just so that we can make sure this tightens evenly. Looks good, it's pretty tight, and now it's time to plug everything in. First thing I'm gonna do is plug in the 24-pin power cable to the motherboard. Yeah, it's up here, so we're gonna put it through the top hole. The CPU one will probably go through... Okay, I was looking for this. I couldn't see this grommet because this was blocking the way, but we're just gonna route that through there. So that's gonna go through there. Big power cable for the motherboard. You can see there's this little notch back here. We're gonna line it up with this. Okay, I think it clicked. I just didn't hear it or something. There we go. Got it. Now we're gonna plug in this cable into the GPU. You know what's funny? We're probably gonna route it through here and then bring it back out and then plug it into here. And then all we're doing is going back. Oh, that looks pretty nice. All right, so here's the inside of the case. We got our RAM, we got our CPU, graphics card, power supply right here. I think I could get this up and running. Am I missing something? It just feels really empty over here because this case is actually like meant for water cooling. That's why it has all this space, but I don't need a water cool, so yeah, we're good. Before I try to turn this on, I want to try doing some cable management here, so let's try to do that. This already has some like Velcro cable wraps here, so I could definitely use those. And these cables right here, I don't want to have to like pull them diagonally to like fit in there. It's just annoying. So I'm just gonna leave them here. And then this part right here, this is from the GPU. It's the part where I just put it through the hole and then put it again. I'm gonna put that under this as well. There we go. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. First cable management job on my first PC. I think it's actually pretty decent, guys. I mean, I really didn't have a lot of cables to begin with. So unless I mess something up, I think we're fine here. Yeah, everything looks fine. So we're gonna plug this in and see if it boots up. You wanna make sure when you plug in your HDMI cable or DisplayPort or whatever, you're not plugging into the motherboard. You wanna plug it into the graphics card. Otherwise, you're not using your expensive graphics card. All right, moment of truth. I'm gonna plug in this cable and then we're gonna boot it up and see if it works. Okay, fans are running. Why is it making that sound? I don't know what that sound is, so I'm gonna turn it off because this is kind of freaking me out. Okay, it's definitely this. So we're gonna turn this off. Yeah, it's definitely the power supply fan. That sounds really weird, so I'm gonna figure that out. I'm gonna take the dust filter off, maybe I can see from there, but I don't wanna have to unscrew it, but I might have to. It's really strange that it's doing that. This is kind of a pain to screw in, so I'm sad that we're gonna have to undo all that work, but it's okay. I'm gonna plug it in unscrewed and see if it makes that sound still. Oh, it's quiet now. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay, I got it. I know the problem. If I push it in, makes it sound even more. Pull it out, no problem. So all I have to do is make sure this is pulled out enough. So maybe it's just going in and then like the inside part of the wire is touching the fan or something. So that was the problem all along. My computer is fine and we're good to go. We did it. We built a PC and it appears to be working. All the fans are running, LEDs, but look guys, look at the inside. So we got these LEDs right here, CPU, got fans here, and then PSU, my capture card, my GTX 1660 Super. Looks pretty dope. All right, so I successfully installed Windows, everything looks good. Now I'm gonna restart and then mash delete to get into the BIOS just to make sure I have everything. But everything looks like it's up and running. We just gotta make sure the computer detects it. B450M Pro 4, AMD Ryzen 5 1600 6-core processor. What we're gonna have to do is enable the XMP profile because my RAM sticks, as I mentioned earlier, are supposed to run at 3000 megahertz, but usually it'll be a little less and you actually have to like change it. XMP setting, auto, we wanna change that to profile 1. DDR4 3000, boom. After installing Windows, I installed all the updates and then installed the drivers that I needed. And then I tried to overclock my CPU. I tried to overclock to 3.8 right off the bat because I saw that others were able to get that. I did stress testing using IDA 64 and I was getting temperatures over 90 degrees. And even when I was doing lighter overclocking, I was still getting pretty high temperatures. And then I realized what the problem was. So after all that trouble of like switching back and forth between different settings, all I did was update the BIOS, and lo and behold, temperatures 65. It's been running for almost 3 minutes now. Before it would get to like the 80s and even 90s within like 3 minutes, and now it's just like idling at like 66, 65. So updating the BIOS was the answer, and I could probably get to 3.8 now. Nope, I wasn't able to get to 3.8, but I eventually got to 3.65 gigahertz after messing with the settings over and over and doing stress tests. I maintained temperatures of about 75, 76 for most of the test. I'm not super experienced with overclocking though, since this is my first PC, so let me know if during a stress test, temperatures should actually be higher, because it's not like my CPU is going to be under full load all the time. So maybe it's fine to have it even higher, like 80, 85. So if you're more experienced, let me know, and I can try to get it to like 3.7 or something like that, but this is totally fine for me. I did benchmark tests using Cinebench, and before overclocking, I was able to get a score of 2600 something, and then after overclocking, I got about 2800. So there was some improvement, and then I decided to benchmark my laptop just out of curiosity, and my laptop's running at 2.8 gigahertz. This was definitely a big upgrade from my laptop, even though I couldn't get to the full 3.8 gigahertz that other people were able to get to using the 1600 AF. Afterwards, I decided to benchmark the GPU just for fun. I loaded up Oblivion on my laptop, and I was getting an average of 45 FPS on medium settings, and on my PC, I was able to get an average of 75 frames, even on maxed out settings, which my laptop couldn't even handle without glitching out or crashing completely. Also, my monitor is a 75Hz monitor, so this is pretty much all the performance I need, at least for this specific game. But again, I don't really game on PC, so if you want to see a more detailed benchmark of the 1660 Super, there are plenty of YouTube videos that actually do this with more popular games, so feel free to check those out. All of the necessary components for this PC cost me about $650 before tax, but once you add tax and shipping, it actually costs around $700, and this is something that isn't really included in a lot of PC build videos. They usually just talk about the base price of everything. Do keep in mind as well that I got my case for free from one of my friends, so a more realistic cost would be like $770 or something like that, because I was gonna get the NZXT H510. I am getting a $25 rebate though, because there was a promotion for both my PSU and my GPU. That would be subtracted from my total cost, which would make it just under $700. If you want to include the Elgato capture card, that's an extra $183 after tax, but that's not something that most people are going to have in their PC builds necessarily, so I left that out of the cost. So that's it for my first PC build. Hope you guys enjoyed.